me make sure I've got the microphone. How's that? Not coughing? Okay, excellent. Good evening. I'm so happy to be here with all of you, and yes, it's wonderful to look at you, as Mitra said. I want to thank Beth for inviting me to come, even so many years ago, or saying yes to me, saying I'll be here. And, you know, all of us who have come from Russia and from the States, who are the presenters here, have come because we love Beth. And we are inspired by her and inspired by her leadership. And we love this idea of a Center for Peace in Geneva. You know, when a center is created, not only does it support all of the people who come in their spiritual path and their unfoldment, but it really blesses the earth. It's like the work that is done goes into the earth and blesses that space, as well as becomes a contribution to all of life. And so we're here this weekend really to set consciousness for the Center for Peace, to have in our minds this idea that the Center for Peace Geneva is, and to come into agreement about that. There's tremendous power in agreement. Most of the time people in the world agree about what's wrong. We have the opportunity this weekend to agree about what is right and what is possible and what is powerful. There's a saying that when two or more agree, it shall be done. When two or more agree, it shall be done. And so we're here to agree with each other about this creation of the Center for Peace that already exists in our hearts, but now comes forth into expression. So I'm very excited about that. I know that we don't all know each other, and as I was thinking about what I could say to you, the thought was, if I don't hit what it is that you really want to hear, we have this weekend for us to have a conversation. I don't know if we're doing question and answer tonight, but please make sure that if there's something I haven't addressed that you would like me to, that you come talk to me. I'm really very friendly. And I love people, so it's very easy. There are three things that I wanted to look at tonight with you, though, and that is the theme of the conference, and then the value, and the theme of the conference has already been spoken. I love that beautiful letter by William Ury. I had the opportunity to travel with him in the Middle East as part of the Abraham Path Project. He's a very visionary man who holds a powerful vision for reconciliation, first among Christians, Muslims, and Jews, but also people all around the world. And so it was really wonderful to hear his letter and his blessing on this event, and also to hear the Swami's blessings as well. This is a wonderful thing. So I'm going to echo a little bit about what has been said, but what has been said is that we must do our personal work in order to have peace in the world. So I want to touch in on that. The second thing that I'd like to address with you is the value of community. Why I think it's so important to create a center and to come together in community with each other. And then lastly, I want to say why those two things, our personal transformative work and community, are so crucial at this time on the planet. So are you ready? This is what I'm going to talk about. All right, so this wonderful theme, discovering your own center of peace as a step to creating peace in the world. It is so completely true that whatever it is that we wish to see, we must first be. In fact, I had this thought go through my mind the other day that it's completely arrogant of me to think that I can work for peace. And I got on the peace wagon with John Lennon back in the day. All we are saying is give peace a chance. I bought into that. I used to have it as a ringtone on my phone. So I've been involved with believing that the time for peace is now for quite a long time. But it is arrogant for me, I realize, to be so about peace in the world unless I am absolutely transforming my inner state so that everything about me is in alignment with this truth of peace that I want to see. So that's what I want to say about that. And again, that is something that will be echoed all through this weekend. And I'm so grateful that all of our workshops are on that inner plane. There are the work being done for personal transformation. We are here to be the fullest possible expression of spirit, life, the divine, whatever is the word that you work. We are unalterably whole on the inside, and we are here to express that in powerful ways. And I don't think any one of us is free of the need to do the inner work of transformation, because we have within us or maybe I'm the only one, the things that are unpeaceful, the conflicts, the regrets, the resentments, all of those kinds of things that we carry with us. And until we're willing to be transformed as much as possible, it's going to be very hard for us to be the expression of peace fully in the world. We can work for it out there, but if it doesn't resonate on the inside, it's a little bit hollow. We have to back it up with who we are. There is a great saying I'm very fond of, which is, you cannot take anyone where you haven't gone. You cannot take anyone where you haven't gone. And so if we haven't gone the distance in our own peacefulness on the inside, it's very hard for us to support anyone outside of us in being more peaceful. There's also a saying that realization comes before revelation. We must realize something before we can reveal it. And so if I want to reveal peace in the world, I have to first have a greater realization of the peace that I am. Because it's out of the peace that I am that then I can have peaceful behavior in the world and actually support someone else in doing that. I know that you know this already. This, Gandhi was quoted, Chris quoted it already. Be the change you wish to see in the world. We know this. But I'll tell you, there's something that is so crucial on the planet right now that we really need to get about the work. It can't just be something we speak about as a possibility or even as a really good idea. It's time for us each to do the work. We will be happier anyway in our own personal lives. We will create more peace around us anyway through the inner work that we do. So fortunately, all of our presenters this week will be supporting you in doing that deep work of releasing the things that are unpeace within you. So the second thing that I'd like to look at is just the value of spiritual community. Some of you are probably familiar with Buddhist teachings, yes? And in Buddhism, there are the three jewels of Buddhism: the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. And to me, the Buddha represents the presence, again, whatever you might call that, God, spirit, life, universe, that big something, that big reality that we live in. The Buddha, the Dharma, is the law or the principles. They're the principles, the ideas by which we live. And a new piece of information for me about Dharma is it's actually thought of as the net that holds all of life together. So there's the Buddha, the Dharma, the presence, the principles, and then there's the Sangha, which is the community. One of the jewels of that tradition is that a group of like-minded people get together to be together and to support each other on the spiritual path. I will tell you that I came consciously onto the spiritual path about 30 years ago, and it was really unusual for me to be involved in group. I grew up with a single mom, only child. I'm inclusive by nature, except I'm never left alone anymore, enough to be like that, but that's good. And I came into community because I understood that I had to be saved from myself, that I actually had to be saved from my smallness and from my self-absorption and my introversion, and that it was in group that I would experience the support of like-minded people who, Cammie earlier today, where are you, Cammie, used that phrase, being with people, it lifts our vibration. So I would experience the lifting of vibration by being with similar others. And at the same time, the friction that happens in relationships. Do you have friction in relationships? Just that little bit of friction that happens in relationship actually wakes us up. That we learn more about who we are. We learn more about who we are in the company of others than we ever do all by ourselves. And I think that this is an important thing to say because we're actually on a trend in the world right now where everybody's doing their spirituality very individually, on the telephone, on their laptops. Does it seem like that to you? So, and there's also a lot of what I would call very superficial spirituality. Really great ideas, but people not having the guidance and the community support to do the deep work. Because the spiritual path is a deep path. It is a deep path of awakening to the truth of who you are and the truth of this greater reality that you live in. And I think we need others to do that. I think that we need other people to come together with to remind us of the truth and the principles that we're practicing when we fall off, into illusion, when we forget who we are. And we need that energy of relationship that wakes us up. And so to create a community is to create something that's so much greater than the sum of the parts. And a community or a center that comes together around a spiritual teaching becomes a very vital and alive place. You heard Beth mention visioning in her own unfoldment of this conference. And actually, just a 5-second commercial. I'm doing a visioning workshop tomorrow. But in the visioning that we have done for many years now in our organization, we keep seeing this vast network of lights. The vision is lights everywhere, all around the world. And that's actually a very ancient Hindu image. Do you know the story of Indra's net? The story goes that the great god Vishnu said to Indra, please create something that represents all of creation. And so Indra cast this huge net. And at the place where the lines of the net came together, he placed a beautiful pearl. One pearl for everything in creation. In some tellings it's a jewel, but I really like the pearls. So one pearl for everything in creation. So if you could imagine this huge, vast net with the pearl representing each one of you here and each thing in this room and everything that exists in creation. It's a beautiful image, isn't it? And the teaching is that every pearl reflects every other pearl. And we understand that what gets sent through the net comes back through the net, which is that idea we say in the States, what goes around comes around. It also teaches us to be very careful about what we set through the net because it will come back to us. So that's karma and cause and effect and that sort of thing. But as you create a center here, you become one of those lights in that vast network that we have been seeing for a very long time. So now Geneva lights up, and I think that's very exciting. And you are considered a point of inspiration and dynamic influence here. A point of inspiration and dynamic influence. And a center begins to have an energy greater than the sum of the parts that calls people to it for the deep experience of awakening, for the possibilities of standing for peace and becoming an open portal through which a greater peace happens. So that's the thing about community. And what I would like to say about why this is so important at this time is that we are in a huge time of change on the planet. Have you noticed? And if you feel energetically within your own body, you can feel that old things are passing away. And we only have to look at the economic structures all around the world, and we see that old forms are beginning to crumble because they're lower vibration, they're based on greed. I'm thinking of economics now. They do not work, they cannot stand. They just do not work any longer. And you may have some of that shift happening in your own lives. That's something that you've been participating in for a long time. That was okay, but not really quite it. Becomes untenable right now. Is that true for anybody? You just can no longer do it, whether it's a relationship, a place that you live, a job that you've done, whatever it might be. It's passing away. And there's something that is seeking to come in. And if you feel within your own consciousness, my guess is that you feel some whispers sometimes. Some whispers about what it is that wants to come into your life experience, or you get a glimpse of a greater possibility. Well, people who speak on a more mystical level than I do say that we are in a time of an ending of a spiral and the beginning of a new spiral.